100 rockets fired by Hezbollah in the north of Israel today. And anyone who tells me that it's time for Israel to respect Ramadan, they did this on the first morning of Ramadan. First full day of Ramadan, Hezbollah celebrates by sending 100 rockets into northern Israel. So I am with the rest of the sane people in saying Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel's got to finish the job in Rafah. There is no red line. Joe Biden doesn't know what he's talking about. Hezbollah wants a war, and Israel will oblige them. Bibi Netanyahu went on Fox and Friends yesterday, cut number 11.
Look, the president and I have agreed that we have to destroy Hamas. We can't leave a quarter of the Hamas terror army in place. They're there in Rafah. This would be equivalent to saying, after the Allies fought back, gone through Normandy, went through Germany, and you'd say, well, we'll leave a quarter of the Nazi army in place and we won't go into Berlin, the last stronghold. So I think that if the president means by that we should first enable the safe departure of the civilian population from Rafah before we go in, we agree with that. We don't need any prompting.
That's not what he said.
Let's make sure that
that's not what he said. He doesn't want you to go in.
I think you have to ask him what he said, because he agrees. He said that he agrees that we have to destroy Hamas as a fighting organization. That's what we intend to do. Look, it's either Israel or Hamas. There's no middle way. I mean, we have to have that victory. We can't have 3/4 of a victory. We can't have 2/3 of a victory, because Hamas will reconstitute itself with these 4 battalions in Rafah, reconquer the Gaza Strip, and do the October 7th massacre over and over and over again. And for us in Israel, not merely for me,
Mr. Prime
but
Minister,
for the people of Israel, that's a red line. We can't let Hamas survive.
Notice he used the word red line. Good for you, Bibi. That is a red line. They are going into Rafah. It doesn't matter what Joe Biden mumbles about there being a red line around Rafah. That's not the case. They're going to reconquer all of Gaza, destroy all of the tunnels, destroy all of the Hamas fighters. And by the way, you can beat an ideology and you can beat Hamas, and they are going to do so in Gaza. And they're going to do it. Bibi continued, cut number 12.
Look, we have our agreements on the basic goals, but we also have disagreements on how to achieve them. Ultimately, it's Israel that has to decide. Our neck is on the line.
Are they encouraging you to get off the gas, though, Prime Minister?
Well, I'm telling you that we're not getting off the gas. I'm telling you that we have to take care of Israel's security and our future, and that requires eliminating the terrorist army. That's a prerequisite for victory. That victory is important not only for us, it's important for the civilized world as we're fighting these barbarians. And let me tell you something. I've seen these recent polls where 82% of Americans support Israel in its battle against Hamas. 82%. That's been constant over the last 5 months. So they recognize that our battle is your battle and our victory is your victory. And I'm sure that deep down, everyone in Washington understands that. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to defeat Hamas. We're going to do what is necessary to minimize civilian casualties, do the humanitarian aid, something that we believe in. But we have to destroy this terrorist Nazi army. Otherwise, there's no future for anyone in the Middle East.
Cut number 13.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the term, even though Jesus wasn't born that far away from here. I can tell you that if it means having a heart-to-heart conversation, we've had that plenty of times over the 40 years that I've known Joe Biden, and over the 12 or 13 conversations that we've had since the beginning of the war. But ultimately, I'm the Prime Minister of Israel. I'm responsible for the security and future of the Jewish state, and I'm supported in my policies. That's important to understand. The overwhelming majority of Israelis support my policies, that we have to eradicate Hamas as a terrorist and governing organization, that we have to get our hostages back, and that we have to make sure that Gaza doesn't form a threat to us anymore. 99 to 9 Knesset members, that's over 90%, supported my policy of opposing a Palestinian state being rammed down Israel's throat. That's the vote we had the other day. So when people say, well, we have to have this talk with Netanyahu because he's holding back the prospect of this wondrous peace with the Palestinian state, you don't have an issue with me. You have an issue with the entire people of Israel. They're really united as never before war in uniting to destroy Hamas and ensure that we don't have another Palestinian terrorist state like the one we had in Gaza that could threaten the state of Israel. That's something that the people of Israel are united behind, and from what I can see, most Americans support that as well.
Yeah, most Americans do. Only Joe Biden is addled when it comes to specificity about supporting Israel in Gaza and in the north when necessary. More Bibi on Fox and Friends, cut number 14 on why Joe Biden's mumblings do not help. Cut number 14.
Well, look, to the extent that the world thinks that America and Israel are united, that helps the war effort, and it helps our effort to achieve victory and obviously the release of the hostages. To the extent that Hamas believes that there's daylight between us, that doesn't help. I appreciated the support that President Biden and the administration have given us since the beginning of the war. I can only hope that it will continue to victory, because victory is at hand. Victory is close. I mean, we've destroyed, as I said, 3/4 of those fighting battalions. We're very close to victory. The best thing we can do for the future of the Middle East, for the future of peace, for the future of those hostages, is get a speedy victory. And the victory will come as soon as, I think will come sooner, the more united we are, not divided, or at least not given the appearance of division.
He's absolutely right. One more Bibi cut on the Hamas is the one that killed any ceasefire, temporary ceasefire, a hostage exchange. He wanted to be very clear about this. Cut 15.
Oh, I'm not sure that that's exactly what happened. I think Hamas from the start has demanded just outlandish demands that were nowhere in the ballpark. So they weren't there in the first place. But I repeat it. We're not fighting just our battle. We're fighting the battle of civilization against barbarism. We're fighting the battle against the Iran terror axis, which goes against America. They say that you're the great Satan and we're the small Satan standing in their way. These are the people who are your worst enemies, our common worst enemies. And at this point, the entire international community, at least the civilized community, should stand behind Israel, reject the vilifications and the pressures that are brought against Israel that is fighting this just war against these barbarians. That's what I think is required to do. Most Americans understand it, and I hope that that's what will also be perceived in the Middle East, because it'll help us get the job done sooner. But we're going to win this war. Yeah.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Yes. Good for him. Most Americans do understand, and unless they are addicted to TikTok. TikTok has been full of pro-Hamas propaganda. It's another reason to call your congressman, your two senators today, to say pass the bill that either bans the app of TikTok outright or forces its sale within 90 days. Let's get it done. Let's get it done this week.